and white plays bishop c5, and then black plays bishop a5, and white plays bishop b4, and black can play bishop at b6, and white has to play like the engine is suggesting that white try to go for a draw, right? Yeah. And then it says here, like if black wants to play on, it can play bishop to d8, right? There's also queen as it suggests, which is really nice to show because you're going to e2 to kick queen and some mating net ideas. But the point is, the engine's best line here was to hope that white could like repeat, which isn't even an option for Wesley. So if we go back to the live game after rook e8, okay, Magnus goes for a plan. He does have an idea. I think he wants to play a5 at some point and kick that bishop, maybe even a5 and a4, right, to create a new line in. He's playing principle of two weaknesses in the middle game, right, using the queen side and the light squares. But it just, look, Wesley played bishop c5. What do you do on bishop a5 besides?
Yeah, and then if Magnus repeats, Wesley can't repeat.
So I think it was instructive, yeah.
He's got to find another plan. And it's some amazing full board awareness there by Magnus when he transferred that rook from e6 to the other side of the board.
Yeah, I totally agree. And by the way, I don't think we're going to see anything but bishop b4 here by Wesley. And it's kind of funny. I pulled up that engine line because we're probably going to see it. I think Wesley's going to 4. Magnus is going to go back to b6. And Wesley's going to look himself in the mirror and be like, do I want to play on or not? Because he has to play on.
He has to play on.
I mean, even if he's going to, might as well lose, right? But you might as well go down and then just a wet puddle. I don't know. A wet puddle, I said.
Is that like, could you like cry yourself? What was that? Like you cry yourself?
Just like wet, you know, like
are you peeing yourself? Like, can I say that? I mean, why are you sitting in a wet puddle? I don't get it.
I don't know, you know, just thinking wet puddles, you know? I don't know, wet puddles. You know, like the wet handshake. You play a game of chess, it's nice to get a firm handshake before the game, but if someone goes like that, that's a wet handshake. Do you know what I'm saying? It's wet, you know, it's like, give me a proper handshake. Don't give me the wet fish. You know, like, what is that? Should we go back to the game? Yeah.
It's a great time to go back to the game because we were talking about how is Wesley not going to repeat, but Magnus is the one who refuses the repetition and actually falls back with the bishop.
Yeah, really principled. He's opened up the B file for the black rook. A5 is coming. If all the rooks disappear, white has close to 0 winning chances there as well. So, yeah, multiple choices here for Magnus. Of course, if Wesley brings his bishop back, then we'll see that repetition, that dance of bishops and a draw. But OK, he has to drop it back to a really ugly passive square instead, just to prevent black start square bishop from getting active. And I think Magnus is kind of bullying Wesley in a way. He's saying, OK, I know your best moves are just to repeat. You have to play worse moves. You're only going to help me in your quest to try and win this one. Yeah, just.
But it is impressive because he could have played bishop b6 and made Wesley make a move and bad, but like you said, it was principled. He believed in his idea of relocating the rook to the B file, and he's gonna show it, right? And he obviously knew Wesley wouldn't repeat, so he's like, I'm not even gonna play these games. I believe in my plan. Let's go. Now you're gonna get under a minute.
Yeah, and reaching that 1 minute mark. Meanwhile, looking at Magnus, is he heading towards the teapot situation?
Wow,
Simon.
look at that.
the teapot, the wet puddle, it's all coming out today. Yeah, I mean, it's... OK, here we go. This is where it could get interesting. So I think Wesley has to try something like this, which is great, some weaknesses, but you need to plug those light squares as well. And the question is now, if the bishop attacks white's rook, can white try to get his queen in? I think that's what he's true. And that's why Magnus moved that pawn, because he didn't want to lose that pawn. And only active thing I can see. Or is it g4? You're going to grab Harry?
Wow.
Poor old Harry? I mean, I don't know if I believe that either, but, you know, you've got to try something. You've got to try to complicate this position. And they're both getting lower time. It's going to, you know, this is getting very critical. Magnus can still make mistakes, right? It's still a very tense situation here.
Yeah, we see the eval bar and we see that black is doing great, but, yeah, anything could still happen here.
And I just want to point out, David, with that last move, white has created more weaknesses on the king side. So now you say A, you got to see B, and when I say B, I mean you have to go E4. Otherwise, there was this threat of the queen falling back with a potential double attack on E3 and A3, and you might end up losing one of the two pawns if you get greedy. So he does go with E4, but that's playing with fire because you strike in the center when your king isn't that safe.
Yeah, the more the position becomes open, now you start looking at that dark square diagonal from G1 to A7. So there's new ways, not just the light squares,
Magnus calmly retreats the bishop to e6. And you just say, come on, keep pushing your pawns and opening up new ways for me to get at your king. And Wesley's going to oblige because he doesn't have anything else to do. But yeah, we're liking Black's chances.
Yeah, Tanya, I think your move might happen on the board, and suddenly Black switches focus to the queen side. There we go, Magnus plays it, and yeah, this pawn push has gained Wesley space, but you don't want space here. It's just left those loose squares behind, and ugly move. Rook to a1, ceding the b file, and yeah, this is really, wow, inviting a break as well. Magnus is opening things for those bishops.
How incredible has it been that Magnus starts with his kingside attack, putting all his forces on the king side, and then suddenly switches to the other side of the board, and Wesley sort of trying to now fight the downfall on the queen side.
Me and Simon are playing together now. We did the king side attack, and now we're doing the queen side. We're the same, me and you.
We're moving over now.
We're doing it. We're doing it together, man.
I did think it would be checkmate by now, I have to say.
But it's okay if we win my position away. We went for the attack, and now positionally we got a protected pass pawn on the. Everything's going to work out.
It looks good. Yeah, it works for both of us. We're both happy.
For both of us. We're both happy.
Perfect day. And it still looks great for Magnus with that pawn, but it's still not clear. Still not 100% clear, and they're both now well in time trouble. They're under a minute. You can blunder. You can blunder in this scenario.
I love that move though, because he's prying. Again, now he's back to the king side. He's playing on both sides of the board, right? He's going to force open the diagonal. I love Black's position. I think Wesley's a move away from blundering. A3 is also under the gaze of the queen.
Ben Feingold would not approve, but f6 that time did look very strong. It's opened things up, and wow, Magnus is forcing the queens off. Not what we expected, but looks like just a good way to cement the advantage. Black's central pawns are both pass pawns, and once the queen disappears for white, the black rook has got full access on the b file. Also, look at that white king. This is the Alpha Zero style. It's not even to checkmate putting the black pawn on h3.
Yep.
It's in order to make sure in any endgames you paralyze the opponent's king. Really nice move.
Magnus put his head in hand and kind of shook, but I'm not sure why, because now Wesley's by 5 seconds. It looks great.
Has to make a move. He trades the queens. At least not getting checkmated now. Wow.
I mean, maybe not. The pawn on h3, though, is still pretty dangerous, so.
And the central pawns. Let's not forget them. Once they start moving, and there it is.
Yeah, the pawns are rolling, and White's knight can take one of those pawns, but you walk into a pin. This looks deadly. Black's rooks now are going to line up. Black's central pawn's going to harass this white rook. I think Black is just about to win a piece. This could be the last few moves of the Aimchess Rapid.
And he wins a piece. The pawn on d3 is going to queen.
Got back right
The checkmating, it's on the board, Simon.
Oh, there we go.
Oh my God, and we have a winner. Magnus Carlsen checkmates Wesley and wins the